I'm going to show you how to dye your point shoes, and I'm going to do two different methods. One is using a Sharpie pen and the other is using Dylon dye. There are various methods to dye your point shoes, but I'm going to show you two of my favourites. I've started on one shoe. I've done one layer with a black Sharpie pen, as you can see. Got quite good coverage there, nice pigment. And I've used one pen so far. I'm hoping that maybe one pen will do both shoes, we shall see. As you can see, the pen I'm using is a Sharpie Fine Point permanent marker. I picked these up for just £1 each. You can buy these in most stores like WH Smith's, Asda, anywhere really, even online. Maybe check eBay. Some people use the thicker pen version. They also do other colours, but I've chosen black for this one. The idea is, make sure you've laid some paper down so you don't get the pen anywhere. It's probably ideal to wear some gloves too. I recommend stuffing your shoe with some newspaper to keep the shape and make it easier when you go around the sides of the shoe. You need your pen, so I do suggest wearing gloves, but I'm not going to for this part. You can do the whole of your shoe once or twice, it's up to you. I've done one coat here, but I'm thinking another is going to probably be preferable. You can also do your ribbons. I've started on this ribbon, as you can see. Just show you there. It's going to need at least 2 coats for sure on the ribbon. Sharpies do come in various colours. So basically the idea is you just want to colour in. Don't be afraid to press too hard. As you can see, I just want to show you how pigmented Sharpies are. I'm really impressed. So I'm just trying to hold the camera and do this at the same time. So basically you just want to go over it. I've just stuffed this shoe with newspaper so I can do the sides better. I'm just going to show you the back. Don't worry if your shoe is like too dirty to start with, that's not a problem. I do have a pair where the shellac I've applied has leaked around here, which might be a bit tricky to go over, especially if you're doing lighter colours. I'm going to do the pair that does have the shellac in a Dylon dye in a violet colour. When I do that, I hope that it will go over the shellac. I just want to show you, when you come to the back, it's your choice really if you go over the shank and sole or not. I'm not going to. So when you do go around to these bits, it's probably a good idea just to get the pen at an angle and go really kind of like into the groove. But if you want to make a really precise job, then try and get right in so you don't go too on the shank. As you can see, when it comes to the drawstring, it's quite tough to do because you really have to dig your pen in. And I just wanted to remind you that Sharpies are waterproof, so you don't have to worry about them staining your tights and stuff. When you do the drawstring, it's up to you whether you do the inside of the drawstring or not. I'm probably not going to. I'm probably going to just do what's on show. So you just want to really dig it into the drawstring. I'm just going to show you roughly how to do it so you get the idea. As you can see, I've got a bit of vamp elastic there and my drawstrings are poking out. Now, you probably could actually do the drawstrings themselves. That's the drawstring coating, by the way. But I'm probably going to leave these maybe because they're a bit tatty, or maybe I'll cut them off altogether. With regards to drawstrings, by the way, if you do them to how tight you want them and then trim the ends so you don't have all the excess left, that's a good idea, and you can tuck them in so they're not all on show and horrible. Mind you, it's all personal preference, I guess. Just thought it might be handy to show you the packaging Sharpies come in. So this one in particular is the Sharpie Fine, and it came in this packaging here. When it comes to doing the ribbons, they are quite tricky, so what I recommend doing is either actually dyeing these with dye or something else, or using a thicker marker, because using a fine Sharpie takes a while. Ideally you want to hold the ribbon down flat on a hard surface whilst you colour it in, so you can get like every kind of piece of the ribbon and make sure you haven't missed any. As you can see with one coat of marker, it's very fine, so I'm definitely going to need 2 at least. Just to give you an idea of time frame, it took me around 35 minutes to do 1 coat on 1 shoe. So, I mean, I haven't done this for a while, but I imagine like a pair would take about an hour, but then you've got to take into consideration ribbons, so probably an extra hour for ribbons maybe. Yeah, so I do recommend like maybe buying your ribbons the colour to match. I mean, I use Elasto Rib by Block with the bit there, the Achilles tendon, so they don't come in any other colour apart from this as far as I'm aware, so you would have to dye them yourself. Okay, so to dye shoes using Dylon, I've used one of these packets here, and it does give instructions to do like, say, clothes or whatever, but just ignore the instructions. Just empty a whole packet of this into about, I've used about 200 millilitres of water, warm water by the way. Dissolve it in that and then add some salt, which I've used the Dylon salt here. You don't really need to put that much salt in. I would say probably about 2 teaspoons maybe. Mix it together, and then what you need is one of these sponges, and you just want to dip in lightly and apply to the shoe like so. Let's put my other glove on. So you want to make sure you're wearing gloves. It's really important because it does go everywhere. Make sure you do it on a hard surface and put down newspaper. So it's gonna, I have actually got it on the bottom of my sole by the way, but hey ho. Just sponge it on like so. Make sure you've got newspaper in your shoe. As you can see, it's really messy. Do the drawstring casing. As you can see, I've done 1 shoe with 1 coat. Kind of wish I didn't do the sole, but, and this is the second shoe, so I can show you before and after. As you can see, these shoes have been shellacked and the shellac has leaked, so therefore it might be a bit more tricky to cover. Probably you need to do about 2 or 3 coats depending on how well covered you want the shoes. I think a whole packet was probably too much. You could probably just use, you know, half the packet and use up half another time. Block website actually says if you want to dye your shoes, you should use the Dylon dye and use methylated spirits, because everyone knows water's bad for pointe shoes. Some people get their pointe shoes and they immerse them into a bucket of water with the dye, which I don't recommend because, well, you know, that much water and a pointe shoe is going to kill the box, make your shoe dye quicker, and generally isn't going to do it any good. So I do think this method is the best so far, and maybe I'll do another video showing the method with Dylon and methylated spirits. I'm just going to go ahead and finish up the other shoe with the first coat. Right, so I've just given them a blast with the hairdryer, and as you can see there's bits where it hasn't really taken on the first coat. Now I have read on the internet that apparently if you do mix the salt with the dye, like it does instruct on the packet, it can actually not work that well on satin, so therefore on pointe shoes, and cause this. So I'm now going to go ahead and mix up some more of this just with water and see what happens, because I think it'd be more pigmented that way and we won't get any nasty gaps. So let's see what happens next. Okay, so this time I've mixed a few teaspoons of the Dylon dye with some warm water and mixed it round into a solution and just applied it onto the gaps in my point shoes, and it's definitely gone a lot better. So I do recommend not using the salt. Although people said they've had success using the salt or the dye for point shoes, I feel it goes on more pigmented when you just mix it with warm water. So I'm going to go ahead and apply the second coat to both the shoes now, and I'll film again in a sec. Okay, so I've done about 4 coats and I'm just going to leave them to dry. I recommend putting them in a tub or putting them on some paper. I've hair dried them between each coat. I'm not sure how they're going to turn out. They look a little bit patchy, so they may need another coat. If you are in a rush for dyed shoes, you can always custom order Grishkos and other brands in whatever colour you desire. There's also, of course, the Sharpie method, which I've just gone through. But if you look at the difference, I mean, this is just 1 coat with Sharpie, so it's going to take a few coats yet. I just wanted to say that I also did a pair of shoes using a different kind of Dylon dye. This time I used Dylon fabric paint, which comes in a little pot like this. It was $2.99, but you can get them on eBay as well. It's quite a small pot, so you may need 2. But when I got down to the bottom, I just added a little bit of water and it kind of lasted longer and still kept the same pigment. It was easier to apply, less mess, and I did 1 coat on these shoes, and look how vibrant and pigmented they are. Excuse my messy vamp, that's where I cut the vamp down to re-stitch and did a bit of a messy job. But look how nice and vibrant they are. Just show you here. Compared with the other shoes that I did with standard Dylon dye, they did dry a lot quicker with the fabric paint, and also you can see the difference here. This is the one with standard Dylon dye. It just didn't really go as great as the fabric paint, because for me, I like to keep the texture of the satin, whereas I feel with the standard Dylon dye on this shoe, it went a bit rough, and it also did shrink the shoe a bit, even with newspaper on it. So I do prefer this method, and I think everyone else will too. Just show you there so you can see the difference. It's quite a major difference. It's kept the quality of the satin. It looks as though the satin was actually that colour. Also, I bought some glitter fabric paint in gold, and I decided to go over my black shoes, which I did with the Sharpie pen, and do half of the shoe with it, and it came out really well. It's very, very vibrant. Just going to grab the shoe for you. Look at that, that's amazing. And it sticks so well, and it dried really quickly. Again, it doesn't really matter what brand you buy, but I got some from Hobbycraft. Just do it all close up there. I've only done half the shoe, but I might do the rest. I also got some pink glitter one as well. So yeah, my favourites for dyeing shoes are definitely Sharpie pens and the Dylon fabric paint. That shade was number 7 purple. I also wanted to mention, for those of you who aren't aware, I've now got a website which is www.straighttothepoint.net, which features a blog, interviews and features, my tutorials, videos, and will also feature a lot more soon. I also am going to be starting to sell Grishko point shoes and doing mobile fitting. So if you're in the Essex or London area or close by and want me to come and fit you, then I can do so. So be sure to check my website out. Subscribe to my channel, and please follow me on Twitter and Instagram as well. And any questions or any requests, please let me know.